You're just an old maid who can't even have kids. We don't need a useless older sister anymore. After losing our mother early on, I've acted as a mother figure to my sister, who is 8 years younger than me. My younger sister is often nagged by me about many things because of her uninhibited nature. Because of this, I could sense from her attitude that she felt estranged from me. Even our father tried to admonish her behavior, but it never had any effect. Still, I did my best to take care of her, trying to keep a promise I made to our mother. When my sister became an adult, I finally started to have some time for myself and even got married. I thought I was finally going to experience the happiness most people do. But my sister was the one who ruined it. It turned out she was having an affair with my husband. I've always hated how you acted like you were my mom. Your pretense of being such a good person disgusts me. She glared at me, openly showing her disgust, without a hint of remorse. Moreover, she has my husband's baby in her belly. Faced with their unbelievable actions, I was overwhelmed by anger and sadness. But I knew that happiness would never come to the two of them. They would realize this in time, so I walked away. My name is Ruby. I'm 35 years old, born as the elder sister in a family of 2 girls. I'm not flashy and dislike standing out. Due to my nature as the eldest child, I find it difficult to rely on others and rarely show my weaknesses. I can't ignore someone in trouble around me. Contrastingly, my sister Daisy, who is 7 years younger, has a charming personality and is good at making others dote on her. She's self-centered and a bit spoiled. Our father is somewhat quiet but also has a kind heart, perhaps more similar to me. My mother married my father, who was a childhood friend, and even though they were poor, she was always smiling and good-natured. When I was just 10, she left us, asking me to take care of your father and Daisy from her deathbed. She died of pancreatic cancer, which was too advanced when discovered. Losing our mother suddenly, my father and I were devastated to the point of being unable to eat. Daisy was too young to fully understand our mother's death and seemed dazed. However, we couldn't let ourselves be consumed by sorrow forever. From now on, we'll do our best, the 3 of us, we decided, looking forward. Mom, please watch over us from heaven. I spoke to my mother's photo on the altar, engraving her last wish in my heart. At that time, my father was a long-haul truck driver. He would wake up at 2 a.m. for work and not return home until 10 p.m. Our nearby grandmother would occasionally check on us. But since she had her own health issues, we couldn't rely on her much. Fortunately, I was in elementary school and was already capable of handling cooking, laundry, and cleaning. Having started to help with household chores in place of my frail mother from an early age. Thus, I took care of Daisy, hoping to lessen our father's burden. Big sis, she would say, following me around adorably. While other kids were busy playing after school, I was doing household chores with Daisy, making us stand out as different. Our father often apologized for the inconvenience and would take us to the sea or mountains on his days off with packed lunches. We couldn't afford amusement parks or vacations, but I loved those family picnics. Time passed, and I became a high school student. Without joining any clubs, I spent my after-school hours working part-time at a supermarket to help with the household finances. A college student working there would tease me, saying, "Ruby, you're so young yet carry yourself like a veteran housewife." This college student had a way of joking around and talking to me about something. But it was not unpleasant, and he had a kind side to him, sometimes giving me delicious snacks and drinks. One break time. "Here's some coffee for you, working maiden." "Ruby, why do you work so much?" While handing me a can of coffee, he grinned in his usual manner. "If you're going to say that, it's a working girl, not maiden." Our family might be poor, but I want my sister to be able to pursue her dreams. And I want to ease the burden on our father. I like being someone's support.
Ah.
I got too carried away and answered too seriously. I glanced nervously to the side and was relieved to see him listening seriously. Unlike what I expected. That's actually pretty cool. I respect that. Count me in as your supporter. Looking closely, the college student was tall, handsome, and had well-defined features. Don't fall for me. He joked with a mischievous grin, making me chuckle too. There were also many part-timers working at this part-time job, who were about the same age as my parents. They taught me various useful life tips and expanded my cooking repertoire, all being incredibly kind and memorable. During this time, my father switched from being a truck driver to a logistics warehouse manager. His new job had regular hours from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., which relieved me considering his health. However, the economic downturn affected his salary with fluctuations. Consequently, our family's finances were in dire straits. I decided to work at a food processing company. After graduating high school instead of going to college, my teacher said, "With your grades, you could get into the university of your choice. There are scholarships available too." But coming from a not-so-wealthy family, I didn't want to burden my father with more financial stress. And I didn't want Daisy to go through the same hardships. I wanted her to graduate from university. With that determination, I worked hard from the start of my career in April. The company I joined was a large organization with branches nationwide, employing a diverse workforce, including high school graduates, college graduates, and those from other professions. Among my colleagues was the same college student from the supermarket. "Hey. Good to be working with you again." He greeted me with a bright smile and a wave. "Since we're colleagues now, and I'm older, feel free to call me casually," he said. His name was Lucas. Knowing someone at my first job made me feel less anxious and more encouraged. At the factory where I was assigned after that, I had to stand all day, which was hard until my body got used to it. But the camaraderie among workers and adequate breaks made it bearable. Earning a steady salary made our lives much more manageable than before. Meanwhile, Daisy, now in middle school, became increasingly rebellious, unaware or indifferent to my sacrifices. "I can't eat your lame lunch in public. It's embarrassing. Just give me money," she demanded rudely, throwing her lunchbox at me, and at times, "You look so worn out and old. I never want to end up like you," she said, looking down on me. Her disdain was palpable through her behavior, avoiding talking to me whenever possible. Our father tried to intervene, but his words fell on deaf ears. As if a poor man has the right to lecture. Being born into such a low-class family is the worst. Unable to tolerate her disrespect any longer. "Daisy. There's a right and a wrong way to speak. Apologize to Dad," she responded with a dismissive, "Annoying. It's just the truth." I totally lost the family lottery. Anne rolled her eyes, showing no signs of remorse. Dad and I could only hope her rebellious phase would pass, observing her behavior silently. Despite her attitude at home, Daisy's natural charm made her popular outside, often receiving compliments on how well-raised she was. As she grew up, Daisy became the opposite of my plain self, indulging in flashy clothes, makeup, and changing boyfriends frequently, enjoying her youth and university life. There were times when I suffered because I could not convey my feelings to her. But I did my best with that one thought in mind. I had promised my mother that I would raise Daisy well because Mom had asked me to do so. Finally, when Daisy graduated and started working, I began to have some time for myself. Yet, with no particular hobbies or desires, my life remained a cycle between home and work. One day, my father suddenly asked, "Don't you have a boyfriend, Ruby? It's about time you met someone nice and settled down." It seemed my father was worried about me, as I had never brought home a boyfriend, let alone entertained the idea of marriage. Therefore, I decided to register with a marriage consultation service due to the lack of romantic encounters in my life. The matchmaker introduced me to a man 3 years older than me, a civil servant working for the city hall. He was of average build and height with a calm and gentle demeanor. This man would later become my husband, Tom. He was an anime freak who spent a lot of money and time on his hobby and admitted to having little experience with women. Tom's conversations always revolved around his hobbies, passionately explaining the lengths he went to acquire rare figurines. He never complained about work or spoke ill of others, which I found appealing. After several meetings, while there were no heart-racing moments, I felt that I could build a stable family life with him. We shared similar values, which led us to marriage. We didn't have a wedding ceremony but opted for a photo wedding instead. Tom, coming from a single-parent family, arranged a small meal with our families to celebrate. But Daisy was the only one who refused to attend, claiming she had no interest. Looking at our wedding photo at home, Daisy laughed rudely, commenting, "My sister's husband is ugly. Seems like he doesn't have much experience with women and looks easy to manipulate. The only good thing about him might be his money." After graduating from university, Daisy worked as a beauty product salesperson but quit saying she was bored. Since then, she has been drifting from one part-time job to another. It seemed she had someone, whether a boyfriend or a male friend, who showered her with expensive gifts. Even as adults, the strained relationship between Daisy and me remained unrepaired, causing my heart to ache. Will there ever be a day when we can laugh and hold hands as sisters? Yet, I believed that someday she would understand. Holding on to this belief, I occasionally sent Daisy letters and gifts, updating her about my life. Continuing to work after getting married, I led a fulfilling life, juggling work and household duties. As we were both of a certain age, we agreed that we wanted children soon and started visiting a clinic for infertility treatments. Despite trying timing methods and undergoing tests, years passed without success. Nonetheless, my relationship with Tom remained peaceful without any arguments. Tom was happiest when watching anime or engaging in his fan activities, while I looked forward to making elaborate meals during my days off. However, recently, Tom's return home became late. His sudden business trips that required overnight stays increased. I tried to dismiss my suspicions, reminding myself not to doubt him. But the thought of another woman lingered. A faint smell of sweet perfume on Tom's shirt, a long strand of hair on his suit shoulder, and a single earring found in his bag seemed intentionally left to hint at his infidelity. Whenever I asked, "Who were you drinking with?" his answers were vague, leaving me filled with growing unease. Tom's behavior became increasingly suspicious, leading me to suspect an affair. Then, one day, I went out for drinks with my colleagues, so I decided to head home early. As I walked through the bustling dining district, slightly tipsy, I thought about humming a tune, feeling light-hearted. Suddenly, a familiar figure caught my eye. My heart tightened as I saw Tom walking arm in arm with a woman. That woman was, unbelievably, Daisy. They flirted and gazed into each other's eyes before disappearing into a hotel district. Why? My mind was in turmoil as tears streamed down my face, unable to confront the two about their betrayal. When Tom returned home later, pretending nothing was amiss, I confronted him. You were in the hotel district today, weren't you? Eh? But I was at work. At first, Tom blurts it out. I saw you walking with another woman. I also asked your coworkers, and they said you took a half day off this afternoon. Realizing he couldn't hide it any longer after seeing my serious demeanor, Tom resignedly admitted. Oh, you knew that. He then revealed that he had been having an affair with Daisy for a year. Daisy had approached him. And it was only after they got involved that he was told she was my sister. I happened to run into Daisy at a bar one night, and we hit it off. It just happened. At first, I thought it would just be a one-night mistake. But then we kept running into each other by chance. We were drawn to each other without knowing we were relatives. In a panic, Tom tried to excuse his actions. Daisy didn't know anything at first. She saw a photo on my phone and realized who I was. We were both shocked. It was clear Daisy knew who Tom was all along. She had seen our wedding photo. It was intentional. She knew from the beginning and approached my husband. To think that my sister would seduce my husband? I was furious and nauseated by Daisy's inconceivable actions. When I confronted Daisy, she spat out with disdain. I've always hated how you acted like you were my mom. That goody two-shoes act of yours disgusts me. She showed no remorse. To make matters worse, Daisy was pregnant. With a triumphant look, she said, "We don't need a useless older sister anymore." Tom didn't try to stop Daisy's harsh words. Instead, he turned to me and said, "That's why there's no reason for me to stay with you. Let's get divorced. Daisy, thank you for making me a father. I'll protect you from now on." Tom's smug expression was infuriating. "Ruby, you've been horrible to your cute little sister, haven't you? I've heard all about it from Daisy." With a sigh, as if to say being disliked by me was to be expected, he continued. "You look so innocent, but you're actually wicked. Guys don't like that. Maybe that's why you've been punished with infertility?" Tom scolded me harshly, and then, as a final blow, he said, "I prefer younger women, anyway. I can forgive anything." This was the true nature of my husband. Daisy smirked, pleased with herself. As I watched the two of them being affectionate. Overwhelmed by anger and sadness at their unbelievable actions, I managed to say, "I will have nothing to do with you two ever again. I just wanted to leave as quickly as possible and return to my father's house." Upon hearing the story, my father trembled with rage, declaring, "Unforgivable. Daisy is no longer my daughter." We decided to cut ties with both Tom and Daisy and proceeded with the divorce. 3 years later, I unexpectedly ran into Daisy and my ex-husband at the gynecologist's office. Daisy was there with her child, pregnant with her second. She had visibly gained weight, to the point where the midwife cautioned her about the risks of being overweight during pregnancy. If she hadn't been with my ex-husband, I might not have recognized her. Daisy and my ex-husband ridiculed me for still trying to conceive, assuming I was there for infertility treatment. However, I shared my current situation with them. I had since married a colleague who had been by my side for a long time. On my right ring finger, a Harry Winston wedding ring. I had married Lucas, that college student. As I struggled with my divorce, barely able to eat and sinking into depression, it was Lucas who uplifted me with his words. "Look at the meaning for aita. It's about making people better, right? Let's go eat something delicious for a start." He took me to various places, treating me to a myriad of tasty dishes. Thanks to him, I was able to recover. Lucas, it turned out, was the son of the president of the food company where I worked. His father had insisted he start from the ground up to become a worthy individual without relying on his family's status. a fact unknown outside the company's upper echelon. Determined to succeed on his own merits rather than connections, Lucas worked diligently, eventually rising to the position of executive vice president. Well regarded by his colleagues and seen as the future president. Even my earnest work and character caught the president's attention, leading to his blessing and support for our marriage. Life with Lucas has been filled with laughter every day. He's like my personal comedian, always finding ways to entertain me. He understands my reluctance to rely on others and preemptively takes care of everything for me. Now, I'm expecting a child with my current husband next month. Upon sharing this news with my ex-husband and Daisy, I also asked them. I wasn't sure if I should tell you, but your kids, are they really yours? I calmly explained that the infertility issue was not with me but with my ex-husband, who has azoospermia, making natural conception impossible. This disclosure led to a tumultuous scene. It turned out Daisy had been involved with multiple men aside from my ex-husband, reflecting her inability to be satisfied with just one partner. My ex-husband, after learning the truth about the children's paternity and Daisy's infidelity, erupted in anger, ultimately leading to their divorce. After their messy separation, my father revealed a deep family secret. Daisy was not biologically related to us, but was taken in after being left behind by a colleague of my father who had to flee due to debts and embezzlement. Given this history, we've decided not to support Daisy any further, despite her continued struggles and refusal to reflect on her actions. Daisy remains in a cycle of dissatisfaction and poor choices, unable to maintain a stable lifestyle. Meanwhile, I've been blessed with a child and live in a spacious duplex built by my husband, with my father residing next door. My father is seeing a woman 4 years younger than him whom he met at a hiking club, bringing new joy into our lives. As we embrace these peaceful days, we cherish the happiness that has come late in life for my father, warmly supporting him in this new chapter of his story.